First, enter your name here, then type your user ID and hit login. Now you can either create a room or join one using the room number or room ID. You can also call a user directly using their user ID. So in this video, we are going to build a simple calling app using the ZEGOCLOUD SDK. To keep things simple, I won't use Firebase or any backend. I just want to show you how fast and easily you can create your own calling app. So I'm creating a new project and keeping the minimum SDK as Android 8. The first thing I'm doing is building a simple login screen. I'll add a column, then use the modifier parameter directly without creating a separate one. And set both the horizontal and vertical alignment to center. Inside this column, the first thing I'll add is a text. This will be the headline of the screen. I'm using this style because it already makes the text large, so I don't have to hardcode the size. Next, I'll add a spacer with a height of 10 dp. Then we need a text field, and since we will have multiple text fields, let's add some parameters for them. And after another spacer, I'm adding another text field. Then let's add a button. We will also handle its click using a parameter. But I forgot to set a spacer above this button. It's time to set this page in our main composable area, where we will use the inner padding of the scaffold and it will not collide with the status bar. Now we will use two mutable states. For the text fields, this is the area where we will handle the buttons clicks. Okay, I didn't add a text inside this button. Next, I'll add another state that we will use to navigate to the next page after the user logs in. Inside this else block, we will design the main screen. Again, I'll start with a column. Here we will add a text and a text field where the user can enter the room ID. We're gonna try the room calling feature of this SDK now. But again, I made a mistake. I didn't change the state's value according to the text field. Yeah, now it works. However, there's a vulnerability here that lets user go to the main page even if the login fields are blank. Okay, so we are mainly using Jetpack Compose in our project. However, ZEGOCLOUD's UI call kit provides a pre-built fragment for faster implementation, which means we don't need to build the UI from scratch. That's why we need an empty views activity just to host the fragment. Next, we will create a data class to pass the user's information to this activity. For now, we will store it in a companion object. It will be nullable and the default value will be null, so we can set it later when needed. So when this button is clicked, open the room activity and pass the data. As simple as that. The app crashes here, but don't worry, we can fix that. Open your themes.xml file and use themes.material components instead of theme.material. Now it works. In the description, you'll find this link. From here, simply copy these dependencies and implement the call kit of ZEGOCLOUD. After implementing it, we need to create an account on ZEGOCLOUD. Fill in your details, hit continue, and you'll get 10,000 minutes along with the advanced support plan as a free trial. No credit card required. So let's create a new app project. For now, I'm selecting the voice and video calling use case, although there are many other features you can explore if needed, like conferencing, live meeting, in-app chat, and more. Now let's hit next and give your project a name. Here you will see two options, UI kits and custom SDKs. For faster implementation, we are going to use UI kits because they offer pre-built UI components. However, if you want more control and deeper customization, you can go with the custom SDK instead. You can also implement this on other platforms, but since we are focusing on Android, I'll go with Android here. Once you select Android, you'll get some features here that you can enable or disable as you like. For now, we will keep everything as default. Now we have our app ID and app sign, which we need to add to our Android app. So let's create a Kotlin file and define them there. The app ID will be a long and the app sign will be a string. By the way, this isn't the ideal way to store your app ID and app sign since they could be hijacked. I'm keeping them here only as an example. Now it's time to open the call fragment inside this activity. We don't need to create a separate fragment because ZEGOCLOUD already provides a ready-made one for us. The class name is Zego UI Kit Prebuilt Call Fragment. Just call new instance and pass the required information that we have already prepared as parameters. In the config part, you will find several options like 111 voice calls, video calls, group voice calls, and group video calls. You can pick any of these based on your needs. Next, we just need to show the fragment using support fragment manager .begin transaction and then call replace. Here we will use android.r.id.content as the container view ID. And we already have our fragment ready. Just to let you know, android.r.id.content refers to the root view of an activity. Since we don't have any layout file attached to this activity, we will use it as the container here. Let's change this to a 111 video call. Right now I'm using an emulator along with the real device, which is why the video isn't showing properly. And here's how group calls will look in your app. So this is how we can implement the room calling feature. Now let's move on to the call invitation feature of ZEGOCLOUD. In the main activity, once the user logs in, we need to initialize ZEGO call service. After that, let's edit the main page UI, which was previously set up for room calls. We don't need a separate button here because ZEGOCLOUD already provides that. Since the call buttons are Android views, here's how you can use them in Jetpack Compose. If you see any errors about the button data types, you just need to add the app compat dependency. The set is video option controls the icon, false shows a voice call icon, and true shows a video call icon. In the onClick method, we set the receiver's information in a list. This means you can add multiple users when doing group calls. You can also set its size using a modifier. So I'll use a row, and inside it, I'm adding two buttons, one for voice calls and one for video calls. But as you can see, we only passed the receiver's user ID here, which is fine for individual calls. For group calls, you also need to pass the receiver's usernames. That means when you add multiple users to this list, you need to provide their names in the second parameter. Otherwise, it won't work. And that's how you can use ZEGOCLOUD's call kit. By the way, this video is sponsored by ZEGOCLOUD.